And all of a sudden, I looked out and I seen somebody or something. I couldn't make out really what it was just outside.
A massive hairy figure has been caught on camera in a new Bigfoot video that's sending shockwaves through the cryptid world. This isn't some blurry shot. This is clear evidence that something strange is out there. The creature is huge, watching an unsuspecting hiker from just a few feet away. Even stranger giant tracks have appeared, much bigger than a man or bear could make. Tune in now. This footage could finally prove Bigfoot is real. Too big to be human. Habir never sees it again, but the encounter lingers. In the following weeks, strange things start happening. Window screens ripped clean off, no sign of an intruder. The couple, rattled, sell their cabin the next year. Too much weirdness, too many questions, they don't want answers anymore. But as they drive away, Gene spots something in the window. Now let's be real. Bigfoot photos? Usually blurry messes taken at the worst possible angles. But these are different. They're clear, well, clearer than most. The creature? Enormous. No visible neck, just a head, shoulders, and a body draped in thick fur. The face? Vaguely primate-like, but nothing conclusive. Skeptics roll their eyes. True believers nod knowingly. And those who know Habir? They vouch for them, not the kind of people to make up stories. But let's fast forward. January 22nd, 2025. A brand new piece of evidence. Fresh, exclusive, barely making waves yet. A man in Alaska filmed something strange in the snow. Massive footprints, way bigger than his own. He walks 4 steps just to match the length of one.
If it turned out to be something else, so be it. But I believe that it could possibly be Bigfoot.
Whatever made these prints had an insane stride. 7 to 8 feet between each step. Either it was sprinting or it walked like nothing we've ever seen. Alaska is no stranger to cryptid lore. Indigenous stories speak of Kushtaka, shape-shifting wild men of the woods, and the Uriuli, towering hairy beings with deep ties to legend. For centuries, these creatures have lived in whispered warnings and old tales. Now, something leaves undeniable tracks in the snow. The footprints? Too big for a human, too defined for a bear. And the spacing? Unreal. Even if this isn't Bigfoot, it's something we can't explain. And then there's Virginia. A quiet, snowy day in the backwoods. A man spots movement. At first, he thinks it's a bear. Grabs his phone, zooms in. Nope, not a bear. The thing peers from behind a tree. Hair-covered body, bare face, light gray, with a forehead lined in wrinkles. It's watching him, studying him, then gone. Virginia's got history. The Blue Ridge Parkway, Peaks of Otter, Wise County, all known Bigfoot hotspots. Stories of towering creatures lurking in the woods go back decades. Hunters in the 90s, campers in the early 2000s, farmers in 2014. They all saw something. They all heard the bone-chilling screams in the night. The forests here are deep, dark, and perfect for hiding. Still not convinced? Let's head to Michigan. A hiker in the snow, enjoying the quiet. Then rustling. He catches movement, pulls out his phone. Whatever it is, it's massive. The ground crunches as it runs. But here's the kicker. This thing moves fast. Too fast for a person in heavy snow. And the prints left behind? Huge. The kind that makes you stop and wonder if we're truly alone out here. Skeptics argue it's just bear prints, double steps. But where are the claw marks? Some say the prints are too small for Bigfoot. But what if this wasn't a full-grown one? What if it was a juvenile? And those toes, clear, distinct, human-like, yet off. Too long, too thick, like something adapted for a life spent running through the wilderness.
Seriously, look how big it is. I don't think it is a human.
Now let's go deeper. The legends didn't just spring out of nowhere. Cultures around the world have stories of wild, hairy humanoids, too many to dismiss. Indigenous tribes in the Pacific Northwest have spoken of Sasquatch for generations. The Himalayas have the Yeti. Australia has the Yowie. If this is all just myth, why do so many different places have their own version of the same creature? It's either the world's longest-running hoax or we're ignoring something massive right in front of us. A retired wildlife biologist in Oregon claims to have analyzed hair samples from an unidentified primate. DNA? Unlike anything known. Then there's the infamous Patterson-Gimlin film from the 60s. People have picked it apart for decades, arguing over whether it's fake or the real deal. If it's a costume, it's an impossibly advanced one, even by today's standards. The muscle movement, the proportions, the way it walks, it's eerily natural. And let's talk about vocalizations. People deep in the woods report guttural yells and howls that don't match any known animal. Hunters hear strange whistles and knocking sounds as if something is communicating. Then there are the encounters where campers wake up to find their food stolen, their campsites disturbed. Giant handprints pressed into car windows. Something out there is watching, waiting, moving just beyond our understanding. Skeptics dismiss these reports. They say it's just bears, mistaken identities, or flat-out hoaxes. But how many hoaxes can there be? Thousands of reports over centuries. Tracks in the middle of nowhere, giant shadows slipping between the trees where no person should be. The deeper you look, the harder it gets to wave it all away. Forensic experts have studied plaster casts of supposed Bigfoot tracks, finding dermal ridges, tiny skin patterns like fingerprints. Hoaxers wouldn't go that far. And then there's the sheer size of these prints. A person in a costume couldn't fake the depth and weight imprints in the mud. It's physically impossible without some sort of advanced prosthetic. And then there's the silence, the eerie, unnatural quiet that falls over forests right before something big happens. Experienced outdoorsmen say that when Bigfoot is near, the birds stop chirping. The insects go silent. The normal rustling of the trees just vanishes. It's as if the entire forest holds its breath. All of this evidence piles up, pointing towards something extraordinary. People see something, they hear something, they find tracks, evidence, disturbances. If it's not Bigfoot, then what is it? A new species? A relic from a lost time? The missing link between humans and something older, wilder? That was just the start. A single photo could change everything. The photo that could prove it's real. The growls get louder, closer. They don't sound like anything from a bear or wolf. Panic sets in. The hiker mutters, barely believing what he's saying. It just took off running. What the heck is that thing? A creature, a shadow, something massive moving between the trees. The eerie noises and the sheer size of whatever's lurking have one obvious conclusion: Bigfoot. This isn't just another spooky campfire story. Many people believe this was a legit face-to-face moment with the legendary Sasquatch. And if it was, the hiker is beyond lucky to have walked away in one piece. Now let's take a trip to Oregon. A gravel road, thick woods, and something crossing just before disappearing into the trees. A veteran Bigfoot researcher, Todd Nice, gets a message from someone who stumbled across a game-changing image. A DMV clerk, of all people, let slip that a friend snapped a picture of something unexplainable near Seaside, Oregon. The year 2014. The image is grainy, of course, because when is Bigfoot ever captured in high definition? But Todd believes it's the real deal. The creature moves right to left, caught in just one frame before vanishing. What's even weirder, this spot is only a few miles from where Todd himself had his own encounter back in the 90s.
2 second, 5 second, something ran across in front of my car. I got a glimpse of something.
Coincidence or proof of something bigger? Todd examines the photo closely. The creature's posture is telling. Leaning forward mid-step, its rear leg bent back at an angle that no human naturally achieves while walking. Thinker Thunker, a well-known Bigfoot analyst, has studied this very thing before. Bigfoot's shin movement is totally different from ours. While humans lift their shins about 52 degrees, this thing's leg bends at a steep 73 degrees, just like what's seen in the famous Patterson footage. What makes this particular sighting stand out even more? The person who captured it didn't run to the press or try to cash in. Instead, the photo was passed along in a quiet, almost casual way. The witness wasn't looking for fame, just truth. And then we move to another intriguing case. October 2024. The Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Group gets their hands on another striking image. This one, sent by a man named Ron, taken near the Hoh River in Washington. According to Ron, his friend, an avid fisherman, had been out by the water when he noticed movement. Across the river, something huge, hairy, and upright. And it wasn't the first time he'd seen it. Even creepier, The creature wasn't just lurking, it was communicating. A deep, garbled voice, almost like nonsense, yet deliberate. This thing was talking. To what? To who? Other Bigfoots? Whatever it was, no human could mimic the sound. The photo shows a large, dark-haired figure, slightly hunched, its face hairless and lighter in color. This matches countless other Bigfoot reports. Its build, heavy, muscular. The way it moved, not like a man in a costume, but something natural, something real. Then we come to a chilling encounter from January 2025. A TikTok user named Sunshineable is out in the woods filming herself. Routine. Until something isn't. In the background, barely noticeable at first, a figure peeks from behind a tree. Tall, dark, covered in thick black fur. Watching. And the moment it realizes it's been seen, it vanishes. The girl doesn't stick around to investigate. She bolts, phone in hand. The internet erupts. Was this a juvenile Sasquatch or just a guy in a gorilla suit? Skeptics cry hoax. But here's the thing, Sunshine Abel isn't the type to fake content. She never has before. Theories explode online. Some claim it's real, others call it a prank. Either way, the clip fuels the ongoing Bigfoot debate. And let's not forget the most classic kind of evidence, footprints. September 2024. A pair of Bigfoot researchers head deep into the forest looking for clues. And they find them. Huge, unmistakable prints in the dirt. They cast them, preserving them for analysis. The print's biggest giveaway, the massive, oversized big toe. Not human, not normal. One researcher speculates it could belong to a young female Bigfoot not yet fully grown. Even a small Bigfoot footprint dwarfs a human's. Bigfoot's foot structure is bizarre. Its joints and bone alignment aren't like ours. These creatures move differently, walk differently. And every so often they leave behind physical proof. Bluff Creek, California, 1958. A construction worker named Jerry Crew stumbles on enormous footprints at his job site. He plasters casts. The size? 16 inches long. This event is often credited as the spark that launched Bigfoot into the mainstream. Bosburg, Washington, 1969. A set of prints is found, including one from a foot with an odd deformity. Researchers analyze them closely, noting fine details like dermal ridges and natural wear. These aren't easy to fake.
Whoa, look at this. Do you see that? Look at the size of that. That's a really big print.
London, Oregon, 1982. Forestry workers stumble upon a set of bizarre, deep imprints. Bigfoot researcher Peter Byrne inspects them and notes how the weight distribution suggests a heavy bipedal creature. And this, just the tip of the iceberg. Footprints, sightings, mysterious growls in the night. The evidence keeps piling up. Deep in the forests of North America, something big is lurking, and the latest footage might just be the smoking gun believers have been waiting for. The legend of Bigfoot has been passed down for generations, dismissed as myth, ridiculed by skeptics, and conveniently ignored by those in power. But with every sighting, every footprint, and every whisper of a government cover-up, the question keeps coming back. What are they hiding? For decades, people have come forward with stories. Terrified hikers, seasoned hunters, even military personnel, all claiming to have seen something impossible. A towering, intelligent creature that moves like a ghost through the wilderness, leaving only a handful of clues behind. And yet every time compelling evidence surfaces, it mysteriously disappears, gets discredited, or is brushed aside. Why? Because admitting Bigfoot exists would open a can of worms no government wants to deal with. But why do some people work so hard to deny it? Maybe they have something to hide: money, power, and fear. Think about it. National parks bring in billions through tourism, logging, and land development. Now imagine what would happen if the government confirmed that an undiscovered species, one that could challenge everything we think we know about evolution, is roaming those very lands. Environmentalists would demand protection, industries would be disrupted, and suddenly large chunks of wilderness would become off limits. That's not just an inconvenience, it's a financial nightmare. Whispers of a cover-up have been around for years. Former park rangers and government employees have hinted at official orders to ignore, dismiss, or outright deny reports of Bigfoot sightings. Some claim to have witnessed physical evidence, hair samples, skeletal remains, even recorded sounds that were quickly confiscated or erased from public record. Why would a simple myth require so much damage control? And then there's the darker side of the conspiracy. Some theorists believe the government isn't just covering up Bigfoot's existence, but actively studying it. Hidden research facilities buried deep in the wilderness, classified documents, even whispers of genetic testing. If true, that would mean Bigfoot isn't just another undiscovered species, it's something far more complicated, something they don't want us to understand. The evidence suppression doesn't stop with officials. Scientists who claim to have DNA samples or biological proof often find their careers mysteriously derailed. Research is dismissed, funding disappears, and in some cases, entire findings are buried before they ever reach the public. If Bigfoot is just a fantasy, why go through such extreme lengths to silence those who seek the truth? And let's not forget the strange case of the Nevada wildfire in 1999. Firefighters battling the blaze allegedly encountered something massive, burned and barely alive, stumbling out of the charred remains of the forest. They claim government officials arrived quickly, treated the creature, and then whisked it away, never to be seen again. The firefighters were reportedly ordered to keep quiet. If this was just an ordinary animal, why all the secrecy? But perhaps the biggest reason for the cover-up is what Bigfoot could mean for human history. If proven real, it could shake the foundations of everything we think we know about evolution. A direct link to ancient hominins, walking among us in modern times. That's not just a scientific revelation, it's a full-blown existential crisis. Suddenly, history books would need rewriting, religious groups would demand answers, and the very definition of what it means to be human would be thrown into chaos. The secrecy might not just be about money and power. Some reports hint that Bigfoot possesses abilities beyond our understanding. Sudden disappearances, eerie silences before sightings, electronic malfunctions. All signs that this creature might have more than just brute strength. Indigenous legends speak of beings that can move between worlds, disappear at will, and sense danger before it arrives. If these stories hold even a shred of truth, the government may be keeping secrets not just for control, but for fear of what we might discover. Attempts to uncover classified Bigfoot files through Freedom of Information Act, FOIA requests, have yielded heavily redacted documents, if anything at all. Skeptics say this proves nothing, but if there were truly nothing to hide, why wouldn't they just release the full reports? Instead, the deeper researchers dig, the more roadblocks they encounter. It's almost like someone doesn't want the full story getting out. And then there are the disappearances. Every year people vanish without a trace in national parks. Most cases have logical explanations. Lost hikers, animal attacks, accidents. But some don't. Experienced outdoorsmen go missing in areas known for Bigfoot activity, leaving behind half-eaten food, abandoned gear, or in some cases, nothing at all. Search efforts turn up strange footprints, inexplicable disturbances in the brush, but no concrete answers. If something or someone is responsible, who benefits from keeping it under wraps? Recent findings suggest Bigfoot isn't just another wild animal. Reports indicate a level of intelligence far beyond what skeptics want to admit. Some claim these creatures use knocking sounds, whistles, and even a primitive language to communicate. If true, that would change everything. A sentient, undiscovered species living right under our noses? That's not something easily ignored. Maybe that's exactly why it is ignored. There are even theories that Bigfoot has survived in such secrecy due to its migration patterns. Many sightings occur in waves, suggesting these creatures move seasonally, avoiding areas with increasing human activity. If their behavior is deliberate, it hints at intelligence well beyond simple survival instincts. Some speculate that they have mapped our movements better than we have mapped theirs. Moreover, forensic analysis of supposed Bigfoot hair and footprints continues to yield perplexing results. Some samples don't match any known species, while others display characteristics of both primates and humans. The anomalies are quickly dismissed as contamination, yet the sheer number of these cases raises the question: how many coincidences does it take before people stop calling them coincidences? Even the military is not immune from Bigfoot encounters. Some reports from soldiers training in remote locations describe unsettling sounds, unexplainable movement in night vision scopes, and large human-like figures disappearing into the trees. If these encounters are real, the implications are staggering. Could Bigfoot be more than just a relic species? Could it be an entity we have yet to comprehend? And what about the role of technology? As thermal imaging, drone surveillance, and artificial intelligence-driven analysis improve, the possibility of capturing indisputable proof grows. With increased scrutiny from amateur researchers and seasoned investigators alike, the window for government secrecy is closing. The longer they suppress the truth, the more explosive the revelation will be when it inevitably surfaces. The government has proven time and again that it will go to great lengths to keep secrets that could disrupt the status quo. And few secrets have the power to shake the world quite like the existence of an intelligent, undiscovered species hiding in the shadows of civilization. The deeper one digs, the more tangled the web becomes. Who stands to gain from the continued secrecy, and how much longer can they keep the truth buried? They dismiss it as legend, but if Bigfoot isn't real, why would proving it be so dangerous? Share your opinion in the comments, like and subscribe for more mysteries.